All right, what is up, everybody, and welcome into this week's edition of the South Florida Comedy Calendar. This show where every single week we let you know what's happening, what's coming up, and what's going to be, or what had happened in South Florida comedy, guys. This week, I'm really excited because we have a great guest with us. But first, I'm going to introduce our co-host of the week, as he is every single week. How are we doing today, Art?
I'm feeling pretty good, Sebi. I'm turning 40 years old this year, and a lot of guys are apprehensive about their prostate exam. So I've been doing one every week leading up to my birthday, just to be extra safe.
Okay, so you know they can do prostate exams through blood work now, right?
No. My veterinarian doesn't recommend it. So.
Doesn't recommend it? The gland is too enlarged?
It's a personal matter. I'm not going to discuss it here with you now.
Understood. Godspeed. We're all praying for you, Art.
Thank you.
We're all praying for you. Anyway, guys, our guest this week is really, really cool, guys. He is a little bit of a musician. He's a little bit of a comic, and he runs one of the longest standing shows in South Florida comedy, guys. I want everyone in the studio audience to put your hands together and start clapping it up for our guest here, Will Lopez.
Thank you. That was some Class A top shelf material for you guys there, bro. Mike, I didn't know it was going to be like fun. It's going to be like, talking about the scene. It's great. Just love to see that Miami scene is killing it. That's good stuff.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
I can give you all the prostate advice that you want, bro. I've been through it.
Well, I wasn't going to, what I was going to say originally is like, since I'm doing prostate exams, I brought a special guest here today.
You got it. Done.
Nice.
Absolutely.
I love that. I'm not looking forward to prostate exams, honestly. If it were up to me, I'm going the blood work route. You guys are crazy. But yes, King.
Listen, by the time you're ready, man, who knows what technology?
Right.
Who knows what your AI doctor is going to tell you to do?
Exactly, guys. But we had a really, really fun week of comedy last week in South Florida, mainly happening over at the Miami Improv on Wednesday. We had the New Faces of Comedy, as we do every single month, guys. If you missed it, you missed a good one, because everyone who went out there and signed up and brought some people were able to go up. We had a really fun night. I wasn't there, unfortunately, but Art, you were able to go up and perform. How did it go? Yeah,
big shout out. Ellie called it out. She was our guest last week or the week before. If you come up, she's going to do a good job in trying to get you up. Last week, she did it. Everyone that showed up, that brought at least one person, got to perform. It was a good show. It was intimate. It was a little bit smaller, but we had dark vision there to capture the whole night. And everyone pretty much walked away with great videos, great pictures. I got some nice pictures of myself as well, so that's pretty dope. And don't miss these New Faces, guys. Sign up, show up, and you can get on, even when you don't expect it, you can still get on.
And kind of something else that Ellie was saying before about how the New Faces isn't just for new people or people coming up in the comedy scene. It's for even established comics like Will.
I did it.
You did it recently, right? You did it not this month, but the one before?
John Winter was in town, and he had to run a set for some big shows that he was doing. So we just showed up, and you guys put us up. That was great. It was awesome. It's a great crowd. It's fun.
Exactly. And it's John is
he's a monster.
As a stalwart. He's been performing across the country, opening up for Ian Bagg. He's won a bunch of
He won the World Series of Comedy.
There you go. He won the World Series of Comedy. So a guy who has plenty of stripes showing up to the New Faces to work on material should be enough of an endorsement for you guys as comics out there to be like, this needs to be something that I get done, if not every month, consistently throughout the year, guys, because the New Faces is so much fun, bro. You should be out there.
Yeah. And this year I'm doing every New Faces. So if any comedian's apprehensive, whatever it is, hit me up. I'm here to answer questions, but do it, man. Do it every single New Faces this year. That's how Mel met me last year. You know what I mean? I was doing New Faces. She's like, hey, you've been here a couple of times. That's how we met.
Yeah, and I know a lot of comedians that have done well at the New Faces, and then that's how they're able to get their foot in the door or kind of, establish themselves at the improv stage. That's one of the reasons why they do that show over there at the Improv. But that was last week in South Florida comedy, guys. Going into this week, though, we have a new show happening over in West Palm Beach on Monday at 7 p.m. What's going on out there, Art? West Palm Beach, it's a little bit far, but it's still SoFlo. Yeah. So this is going to be kind of one of our first local shout-outs to the West Palm scene. I love it.
No, big shout-out. So this weekend, I actually met some fans at the Improv from West Palm Beach, and they put me on to this comedy show.
Cool.
It's called Comedy Relapse Presents Open Mic at the Peach. It's ran by Ben Fishman, host Donnie Dupo, and Skylar Meany. And I heard from the audience members really good things about this. So I want to give them a big shout out. We'll be reaching out to them. I definitely want to hit some West Palm Beach rooms soon. That's one of my goals for this year. So, big shout out to these guys. Hope they do well. And if they have any pictures of the event, send us down. We'll do a recap next week.
100%, 100%. I love that scene out in West Palm. We've had a few West Palm comics come down here recently and start intermingling and letting us know how the scene is out there. And I'm also pretty excited to get up there and kind of do some sets. Only time I've ever performed in West Palm was for the Kravis Center when I was with the 2 times that I've done that. I've never done anything else outside of West Palm. The furthest I've gone in Florida at least is Boca, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. Moving on though to Tuesday, we have a now kind of a stalwart and a consistent room that we got going on over at Julia and Henry's. That's ran by Lita Faye, guys. I've done it once. It's such a cool setup. It's one of the more unique stand-up setups that you'll get down here in South Florida, because you're kind of perched up on this ledge. You're on a balcony performing for like all these people. You feel like a king, you know, addressing his subjects. But
and I'll say this: a big shout out to Lita Faye. I haven't done the show yet, so I'm hoping to get booked soon. But she pushes it. I mean, every week she's one of the people that constantly sends me the flyers, reminds me that the show's going on. And that's how you do it. That's how you promote your shows. That's how, it's a relatively new show. It's grown a lot. I hear a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah, she does a great job paying the comics, making sure that everybody is taken care of the day of the show. So definitely, if you haven't been out there to Julia and Henry's, even if you're a comic and you're not on the show, I highly recommend going out and supporting, because there's great food out there. There's really good drinks. That spot has a bunch of these little. If you've never been to Julia and Henry's, it's one of the coolest spots in Miami. Like, beyond comedy, any night of the week, you can catch that place crawling with people, because it's just such a hot spot. And what is opened up down there in that Biscayne.
And it's every Tuesday, so you can,
or Brickell. I'm sorry, I said Biscayne, but in that Brickell area. But yeah, no, super cool show. Definitely go out there. It's 7 p.m. guys, when the show starts. So if you're interested, you can go out there on a Tuesday to Julia and Henry's, guys. This Wednesday, we have a show happening over at the Miami Improv at 7:30. We have an out-of-town headliner coming through. You had some more information on that, correct?
Yeah, I'm excited about this show. Natalie Ocker, she's a Lebanese-born comedian. She's been blowing up online. Her material, it really hits on. I mean, she talks about the war in Lebanon. She talks about, growing up amongst the war, and just there's no topic she doesn't hit. I'm very excited for it. When we did a couple of months ago, the Shawarma King, he actually put me on to her. So I'm glad to see that she got booked and she's doing a one night here in Miami. Big ups.
Nice. That's dope. We love seeing comics coming through with a new perspective, because, often when you see comedy, not necessarily saying that it always comes through the same lens. That's the point of comedy, is to kind of create your own perspective. Right. But there are similar, comics that have similar backgrounds, or comics that kind of hit similar topics. Seeing somebody like that who's coming from a whole new angle is going to be really cool. And I'm really looking forward to seeing a set by her this weekend, and also good to see who she has coming to open for her too. That's something else that you guys got to always keep in mind, that when we have these out of town people, they also bring some of the best comics from wherever their local scene is, and they kind of open up for them. So highly recommend you guys come out there to the Improv on Wednesday night. Moving on to Thursday though, I'm excited for this show, this AJ Wilkerson show, because if you haven't seen AJ Wilkerson online yet, guys, go and check out his content. He is super funny. His sets are really crazy, and talking about a unique perspective, he comes from a background of having like ADHD and autism. Yeah. He talks about it in his set. He has quirks and mannerisms that make it pretty obvious on stage that he has those conditions, and he really plays into it so well. Yeah. He plays off of it. He does a really good job.
One of the big clips I saw from him is where he's addressing the fact that he also has like anxiety about being on stage. And as he's addressing it on stage during the set, you can see the tics kind of take over, and it really spirals out. Man, hilarious! Really, the way he plays into it is great.
Yeah, and he does a really good job of putting out like really funny content and like high quality content on his social media. So I'm really looking forward to seeing when he comes through, kind of how he addresses that Miami crowd, how he attacks it, the way it looks, because it's gonna be a really fun show. If you haven't gotten tickets yet, you can go to MiamiImprov.com and get your tickets for that show right away, because it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I can very easily see AJ coming through in the next couple of years, headlining weekends rather than just one day. So definitely come out early and catch him, get that meet and greet in, meet him, hang out, because it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. And like I said, he's going to be doing full weekends very soon. Yeah. And speaking of full, you have something else to add?
Well, yeah. So actually, he'll get a shout out next week on the Dania, because he's doing Dania next week as well. So
awesome. He's doing
really picking up steam.
One night or a weekend?
One night.
Cool. Very dope. Very dope. So definitely, if you can't make it out down south to Miami, you can always catch him next week there in Dania. That's awesome. But speaking of doing weekends over at the Miami Improv, guys, this weekend we have an awesome show and a legendary headliner, really, and that is Earthquake. He is coming through, and he is going to shake up the Miami Improv 100%. He always brings out a really, really fun, rowdy crowd. Everybody who is at the Improv, who works there, we've seen him many times, so we're all really excited to get to catch his set and see kind of what he's talking about now. now. Crazy world, crazy time.
Yeah.
So
it'll be my first time seeing him live. I'm super excited about it. He's one of those comedians that, you know, like all the security guards, for example, the Improv told me, hey, when Earthquake comes, you're going to love it.
Absolutely. No, and he's doing a full weekend, 5 shows, guys. So you have all the time in the world to catch him. 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. So if you haven't gotten tickets yet, again, you can go to MiamiImprov.com. Get your tickets for that right now. I mean, this guy has been in the game for 30 plus years, and he's super hilarious. So if you don't know anything about him, you can look him up online and kind of catch a little bit of a glimpse of his set. You get an idea of kind of what it's like to get out there at the Miami Improv on an
Earthquake's one of those guys where you find yourself within 10 minutes can't breathe.
Nice.
And you have no idea why. Like, you can't even repeat back the jokes that he just said, but he just keeps going. He's just really, it's a legend. He's a legend, dude. It's really, really funny.
Like,
great show.
In doing my research, you know, you look at the 30-year career and all the things he's worked on. It's basically everything. I mean, he's worked with everyone. He's worked with everything. He's been in every festival. The guy's amazing. I mean, I cannot wait to see him live.
Yeah, and it's guys like that for me make it so worthwhile working at the Improv, because you get to watch him do his set, get to watch him kind of execute over 5 shows what would be, you know, probably something that he's going to eventually put into a special, or something that he's eventually going to be using for you know, a big set at some point. So it's always nice to watch these guys come through and do their thing, guys. And that is happening this weekend over at the Miami Improv, not the Dania Beach Improv, guys. Looking ahead, though, we have a few shows coming up next week that we want to promote here on the comedy calendar. First off, and probably the most important, we have the 8-year anniversary of Bay Club, guys. And man, I haven't even been in the game for that long, so it's really cool. It's really cool to see you guys celebrating such a great milestone, and with a pretty dope lineup too.
It's pretty an amazing lineup. What we normally do on our anniversary shows is we just throw a party, let everybody come to. We said, no, this time let's just put a killer show together. Mm-hmm. And Gene Harding hit me up right away. I said, dude, I got to be a part of this. It's like, let me host. It's like, host? Are you crazy? It's like, yeah, fine, okay. Then Dina's going to do a set, and we got Mark Vieira as the headliner.
Amazing.
So it's just going to be an absolute, and we'll always bring a surprise or two that always, you know, somebody comes through. So it's going to be just a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, no, look, big shout out Bay Club. I mean, we talk about the show here all the time, but just a big shout out as far as one of the best rooms here in South Florida. Best headliners. I mean, you get together at a bar environment, super intimate. Can't miss it. It's every other week. We talk about the pizza. We talk about the meatball sandwich all the time. Mm-hmm. And obviously you got Will there, who's going to be just about the warmest host, you know, when you get there being greeted by you. Don't miss it. And another big shout out just to Mark Vieira, man. I can't believe he's going to be headlining
he's done it
8-year anniversary show.
Yeah, for sure.
He's definitely one of the most prolific guys down here. He actually, this weekend, he popped in for the Tony Baker show just to say hello. Got thrown up to do 10.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like, I was downstairs with his car. I'm just like waiting with his car. He went up, did 10, said hi to Tony, came down and bounced. So it's really good. Really good to see that you.
Just went out to go get milk set.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. Leave the kid in the car running. Put the hazards on, or you leave Art in the car.
Yeah, I got left in the car. I lived in Brazil, so there was no laws about that. But it's nice to see that for the 8-year anniversary, you got all the big. I mean, you can't really name any bigger South Florida comedians than Gene Harding, Mark Vieira right now. A couple I hope make it there as well. But really, really dope, man. What you and Alex do up there is one of a kind. Yeah,
we started this. We used to do it at Junior and Hatter, which is like a beauty salon. And we started doing shows there. Then he moved it over to a pizzeria on South Beach, and then they lost their cabaret license, and we started looking for a place to do it, and he found Bay Club, and they just fell in love with the idea, and they do karaoke on Thursdays. That's been doing it for forever, and it just kept building. And before you know it, we're like, 1-year anniversary, 2-year anniversary, and it kept going. And they're begging us to do it weekly, but Alex is a doctor. He's at a critical care over Palmetto Hospital, and he's a chef. He was on Next Level Chef.
Mm-hmm. Shout out Dr. Alex Marizio.
Genius. And I just and I'm doing everything that I'm doing, so we just don't have. So we're at a good pace right now. Every 2 weeks, and it's always guaranteed a great crowd, always guaranteed fun. The food's incredible. It's Lucali Pizzeria. So yeah.
But as far as the crowd, I'll say like the most beautiful people. At any comedy show that I go to on a regular basis. I mean,
we have the hottest crowd in South Florida. I could guarantee you that.
Easily. Even the guys are good looking. You're like, what the hell's going on here? You know what I mean? It's a vibe. I mean, you're right there in South Beach. And one of the things, the first time I went there, we talked about it on the first time we talked about on the podcast, but I'm like, it's South Beach. Parking is going to be a pain. No, there's a huge parking garage right next door.
Yes.
I paid $4 for parking. You know 100%. What I mean? So can't get easier than that on South Beach.
Yep. And we have a comedy tab too. which is amazing. Not that we're going to abuse it, but local guys come by, say hi, hang out. What I love about when they do come by, we hang out outside while the show's going on. It turns almost like the outside of the cellar. Everybody's just hanging out there and just can we curse on here?
Yeah.
Bullshitting, hanging out, talking, smoking a cigarette, smoking a joint. Just, and having one of the best joints I've ever had in my life. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm still not recovered from. Anyway, it's a great vibe, man. Just a great community, art presentation. That's what all Alex and I want to do. Just want to be about love, about art, just about the scene.
We talked a little bit before the show kind of started about exactly that. Like, you do this for the love of the art,
100%.
And it shows in the way you do it, because you have that special table for comedians, and it's not like just like the headliner. Like, it's all the comedians that come on the show, not on the show. You bring them to the table, you kind of get them a drink, you introduce everybody. I mean, at your show is where, I had met Clyde Gordon before, but at your show, I got to kick it with Clyde.
Yeah, for sure.
And he got to give me a bunch of advice about, how to get on cruise ships, things to look forward to, things to look out for. That never would have happened if you hadn't sat us down next to each other, introduced us and like, hey, you guys are peers. Go ahead and talk as peers. And
absolutely. He
just started sharing the knowledge, So that's, not a lot of people put that kind of care into their venues. And that's one of my favorite things about Bay Club. I'm glad you mentioned that. For any comedian in South Florida, come out and watch the show. I
love when an open micer comes up to me and he's like, "Hey man, I did the new faces and I've got a reel. I can send you a reel." It's like, dude, next Monday, you got 5 minutes. Go, let's go. Come on. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, if the vibe's right, I'm talking to you, and then it's just right now, in my opinion, the South Florida scene, it's at its absolute peak, and I think it's the best that it's ever been, and I think it's one of the best scenes in the country, to tell you the truth. And everybody argues with me. Like, I'll go to these mics and people say, "Oh, it's not." Right now, if you want reps, which is what you need as a comic, if you want to get up, right now in South Florida, you can get up every night of the week.
Yeah.
If it's not Manny, if it's not Ellie, if it's not Daniela, you can find a room or a place, a main stage at the Improv when you're doing new faces. You can get up and do reps every single night of the week, and you can't find that anywhere in the country. That's why I love. What's being built here and what's going on.
It's one of the reasons we started the comedy calendar, exactly that, to highlight, basically what, hey, every week there's something happening in South Florida comedy.
100%.
Here's a shout out. And we only mention one thing per day. Generally, there's 2 or 3 things happening, Can I get right into the interview portion?
We had one more look ahead that was going to be in Spanish, but that's fine.
We'll take it afterwards. Because it kind of is leading us perfectly into what the first question I want you to ask is, why is Miami the best city to do comedy in right now?
I think Miami's best city to do comedy in right now because it has the improvs and it has the ability to put together absolute 5-star spectacular shows in front of tons of people. And you've got, I'll mention them. They probably don't like to be mentioned, but Melissa, Justin, Renee, if you come to them with an idea, it's like, hey, I want to do the 2 nickels and a dime comedy show. It's like, oh yeah, what's that about? You give them an explanation. What is it you want to do? It's like, I'm going to have 3 comics that are going to rub nickels and are going to make fun of the audience. It's like, oh, okay, great. They'll give you a shot. They'll give you a Thursday. They'll give you a Wednesday. They'll give you a night. They'll give you a show after one of the main shows. You can't do that. You can't do that in New York. You can't do that in Chicago. You can't do that in LA. At the main stage, at the most important, prominent comedy club. And, it just, you have that. You have a mic every single night of the week. You have people that care about the scene, putting those things together. What you say, what you want about, we won't go, but you can absolutely get up and do reps, which is what you need as a comic. You don't need to get discovered to get on a TV show, to get on a, get on major podcasts. No, what you need is reps. You need to do your 10,000 hours, and here you have the opportunity to do that, and that's why I love it. I think we're at a glory age right now. I've been doing this since 2009, and I think right now, like I said, you get up on a Monday and you can do a show every single night of the week through the entire week. Yeah. And that's why I think it's phenomenal.
I love that you said that, because obviously the open mic scene, like you said, is a ton of shows. And what I love to see right now, the showcases like Bay Club, for example, the Arlo Hotel, Cafecito Comedy.
Pauly, the Greystone.
Greystone.
Yeah, sure.
Like that higher level where tourists are coming in, they're paying good money, they're paying good drinks. It's almost like the bridge between the open mic scene and where the improv is.
100%.
That bridge. And I think having that depth will only bring more people here, more comedy fans, more serious comedians down here, which will only get other venues interested in doing those kinds of shows?
There's 4 bridges down here. There's the Mikes. There's the showcases at like Greystone, like what we do. Then there's Mike Levine, who's doing his Comedy Inn, which is, I mean, that's, oh my God. That's like being at the Cellar. That stage, that place is phenomenal. The place is a shrine, right? And then on top of that, you've got the improvs. And you mentioned earlier about West Palm. That West Palm Improv, man, was something. That was one of the greatest rooms that had, like, you could make it smaller, you could make it bigger, you could expand it, you could fit like 600 people in there. And that place had its new faces, had the ability for people to get up there too. So yeah, man, we've got an improv that's receptive to art and receptive to comics and receptive to ideas. And you don't get that in every city.
Yeah. And they care, man. I mean, the management there across the board, even the ownership, they care. Like when I hear you pitching ideas and stuff, like they listen, they actually like give input. You know, even in any professional setting, you don't generally get that from management. You know, you get a bunch of no's, not like, hey, I like this, but do it like this to do it better, you know?
Alex and I used to do a show called Gringo Latino, or I guess he's the Gringo Latino. We would put together shows and there'd be like an offshoot of the Bay Club. And we might even do it again, but not call it Gringo Latino. I might take Bay Club comedy, turn it into an entity, and do that as a show.
That's cool.
Right? And whenever Melissa or Justin sees me at the Improv, it's like, when's Gringo Latino coming back? It was like, wow. And I like sit back. It was like, you guys have shows every week and you're still interested in what I was doing. It's great, man. And it's an advantage I think that we have here that should be taken advantage of by the local comics.
Hey, man. So you mentioned 2009, you mentioned the Improv. So I think we have a little bit of a video of it. I think this is your first set.
First set. It was the 3rd time I'd ever been on stage. And it was my first New Faces set at the old Miami Improv, the one in the Grove. Just still brings back memories.
History right here. That's...
Heck yeah.
It also shows how old I am.
And
¿Cómo estamos? Anybody here from Hialeah?
Man, there really was something about the energy in that room. That old Miami Improv in the Grove, there was nothing like it, man. That green door, I think someone has that door somewhere. I think they saved it. I think someone, but at that place, there was just something about the energy, the way it was run, and the crowds, how intimate it was, because it was narrow, so that people were like right on top of you. I've seen Bill Burr in there, man, and I've seen Bill Burr absolutely just massacre that room. It's phenomenal. I love Danya. I love the Miami one. I love Doral, but that room holds a special place in my heart forever.
Everyone that's performed there that we've talked to,
yeah.
I mean, they all kind of say. I mean, I went there one time as an audience member, you know, basically as a child. I think I was 17, and it was just the craziest party I'd ever been to. It was crazy. It was like, even before the comedy show started, the energy was going through the roof. The comedians came up, they destroyed. When we left outside, everybody was just hanging out outside. And I didn't even know that kind of scene existed in Miami at that time, you know?
If it wasn't for that room, I probably wouldn't have continued doing comedy, because I was a musician. I am a musician. That's what I do. That's what I've always done. And since I was a kid growing up on Richard Pryor and George Carlin and, you know, just watching Jerry Seinfeld on The Tonight Show, that to date myself, see how old I am. So when I always had an eye for it, but I was a musician. So when I had a lull from music is when I decided to dive in. And that old Miami Improv was the closest thing to a punk club that you could remember. It was just, you know, mass people were right on top of you, and it was just great energy and just Damn,
that's a very good point. I never thought about it like that, but you're absolutely right. Because even at that time, I was going to Churchill's. I was going.
Exactly right.
That
man.
Was a different environment, but that same kind of feeling of like just barely on the edge of control. Like everything could just kind of go off the rails
at any minute.
Yeah.
I mean, I was never old enough to be allowed in that club. It didn't exist when I was of legal age to enter. So, but I will say we still have a picture of that club in the green room at the Miami Improv.
Absolutely,
now.
right
so
over
like there's still remnants of that vibe. And like you were saying, you're mentioning Justin and Melissa. Both of them worked at that Improv.
Yeah.
Like they both started there, and they both kind of worked their way up from beginner positions to now the GMs and running it there. So that's one of the things that I think. For me, I love being someone who's come in later and only done the Doral location. Obviously, only ever worked at the Doral location. It's cool that they take pride in kind of trying to, keep that energy going. Like whatever was happening there, that like we're still trying to replicate it at that Doral location. And there's a there's a remnants of it still, you know, permeating through the walls.
Well, I think they're the ones that like create the continuity. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like still part of the same legacy because the people that were there are still here and they still keep that same. And I mean, every comedian that comes through talks about it, like how we treat them at the Improv in Miami. It's unlike any other club. We do everything for them, and we really do. And that again comes from Justin wanting to make sure that these people are taken care of. You know.
Yeah.
And as far as on the back end, you know, with Melissa, she takes care of everything. Like everything is dealt with. There's literally nothing the day of the show that you have to be running around worried about because they did everything beforehand.
Right.
You know. So.
Right. And so you were saying that you perform as a musician, and that's kind of another passion of yours, other than comedy, obviously. So how long, obviously, have you been doing comedy, or playing music, but also what is that career like been for you, and what are some of the highlights?
I've been a musician my entire life. I started as a musician. That's what I like should have been, or still do. So, I mean, I'm still playing music, but whatever. I was playing like in the early '90s, like when Nirvana like exploded, when the Pixies and REM, and like we were touring through the country and like watching the ascent and watching what was happening with Nirvana and just and then I got a job at Warner Music as a marketing director, and I started touring with artists around through Brazil and Argentina and Latin America. And when I moved here, I was like, right, that's it, no more music, and I put that aside. But you know, the creative bug in me stayed, and so that's why I decided one night when my family was out of town to go see Doug Benson at at the Fort Lauderdale Improv. Talk about improvs that aren't there anymore. And there was a girl opening for him, and she was standing outside, and I started talking to her, and I thought music, the band's tour. So the opener tours with the headliner, and they go on the road. But I didn't realize that in Miami or in comedy, the opener is a local person. So I started talking to her, and I was like, wow, I've always wanted to try this. She's like, well, why don't you come to a mic tomorrow night? It's like, what do you mean? It's like, I run a mic in Lake Worth. Come on, check it out. Her name was Lisa Correa, who's a legend here, right? So that's another reason why. It's like everything just happened, in like, she was so nice and so accommodating and so cool that I went and did. So it's your fault, Lisa. So I went and did that mic in Lake Worth the next day, and took off from there. And there's a huge difference to me between music and comedy. It's just that, and I still bring a lot of the remnants of what I like about music into comedy. Like, I would rather have a really good applause break than a big laugh. Like, to me, it's almost like mentally, like the applause break is like the end of a song, and you've hit with them, you've connected with them, and they're giving you that love. And that's, so to me, it's like the art form to me is they're different, but they're very similar in a lot of ways. And I've done a lot of cool shit. Like I've done, I was telling you guys earlier, I'm probably the only human being on this planet that has opened up for the Ramones and for Andrew Schultz in the same lifetime, which I think is kind of cool. So, and I'm going to continue to do it. I'll do it till I don't have an audience anymore, or until I don't have an outlet for it. I'm still playing music. I'm in a band called Stardust One right now, and we're crushing it. We're signed to Intercat Music. We play at Florida Panther games all the time. We're going to Austin in May.
That's nice.
Our single last night, our brand new single was played on Little Steven's Underground Radio last night. So still pushing along and putting out art as much as I can.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to the music scene in Miami. It's something that's been obviously since the '90s has been going on. It's definitely blowing up. Still got musicians,
right? But
original acts out there. Like
I told you about how great the comedy scene is down here. The music scene is not. There is not a music scene down here. You could, if you're a cover band, you could do phenomenal. Which is the other reason why it makes me like I shake so much about like trying to help the younger comics down here, because you don't see the opportunity that you have. Because you don't have that same opportunity in music. Yeah. It's not as receptive. The crowds are not there for it.
It's interesting you say that, because Don P, one time we had him on, we interviewed him, and one of the things he said, it always sticks with me. He's like, I can't wait until the day that some kid in Kansas is like, I think I'm ready. I'm going to move to Miami and do comedy. When we have that kind of scene here where it's like,
Okay, great. But like, I don't think that's what I mean. Well, here it's great for nurturing. It's great for becoming a comic, finding your voice, being creative, getting up every night, doing your reps, and you could find that opportunity here more than you can, I think, anywhere else.
Yeah.
You go to New York and try to do a mic, You have to pay $5, stick your name in a bucket. You know, they're going to pull it out. If you get picked, you get picked. Cool. And, you know.
And there's no audience.
Right. We're down here, fine. I'm only doing jokes in front of comics. Who cares? Those are 23 other artists that are in front of you. Yeah. And if they're, you know, they're paying attention because they're, you know, they're narcissists or they're into their own shit, who cares? If you connect with one person, you made that joke work for one person, then you know you've got something. Move on and work.
One of the things that I always, you know, because I knew you were a musician. When I first met you, I knew you were a musician before I saw you go up. But it's that stage presence. You know, that's something that this year I've been really working on for myself. Because I come from a sales background, so I'm not shy being on stage in front of people. But looking at different art forms and how people get to that stage presence, that was something that always, you know, even at like, for example, at the Bay Club, where it's like a little bit more informal, but you get up there and you start getting everybody kind of like, you know, really getting into the mood of, we're going to do this show, you know. And then when you finally come up and grab the mic for your set, it's like you own them. Like you already have these people enthralled on what you're doing. And sometimes you're riffing, sometimes you're doing material, sometimes you're, I mean, whatever it is, you got them paying attention.
The hardest thing is every other Monday, got to do a new set. So, because I don't like to repeat at Bay Club. So I'll have to build, I love doing improv sets because I'll take the Bay Club stuff and cherry pick like what I think works and then take it there. But that's my mic for me. That's why I don't have to do mics, because I'll just get up at Bay Club every 2 weeks. And I've got a slew of like 6 or 7 friends, and I'll just text them and say, it's Monday, and they know exactly what that means. It's like, yeah, I got a Trump joke for you. You know, and I'll call them up and I'll like try to run stuff through them. Yeah. That to me is what turns me on about this. That's the, you know, come up with something during this 2-week period, try to use world events, what's going on, to try to come up with something funny on a Monday for a bunch of, you know, Miami douchebags, which is what comes out to the South Street shows, and I love them. They're my douchebags. So,
but it's super artistic because it's like, what I mean by that is like you're going up there, you're getting them like on your side first, and then you're purposely poking them with stuff.
I love that.
To get them either against you or to get them, you know, to kind of split the crowd. Like that kind of level of control is really nice. To see, you know?
For sure. Like I love that. Like I said earlier, I'd rather have an applause break than a laugh. I love applause breaks when they don't agree with me. Like there's a great scene at the end of For Love of the Game, the baseball movie with Kevin Costner, where he pitches a no-hitter. He pitches a perfect game, and he pitches it against the Yankees. And you're at a bar, a Yankee bar, and there's a whole bunch of New Yorkers like really pissed off, and then they're like, you know what, no-hitter. Got to give it to him. Yeah. Got to give it to him. And that to me is my favorite kind of reaction from the crowd. It's like, you know, you're completely diametrically opposed to them in either politically or where the joke's going or the context of the joke, but they see that it's a good left turn. They see it's a good joke, and, you know, they give you love.
Yeah. I think you were on a podcast recently, and you were talking about like not pandering or like kind of like how, and I think that's one thing that at Bay Club in general, it's like, it'd be very easy for someone to get in there and start pandering to the crowd 100%. That's there. But instead, a lot of the comedians actually, they really take the crowd somewhere else, right? Like I remember Orlando Leyba was here a couple months back, and the way he pushed that crowd. I mean, I saw him do Dania, I saw him do Miami, I saw him perform a bunch of different times, but in that bar, having to deal with the human standing right there in front of you, and then the way he kind of really turned it up, it was something that was, I don't think you can get it anywhere else. I mean, it has to be set up properly the way you guys set it up, and the room has to be here in Miami with that crowd. I mean, it's really it's one of a kind. You can't really get that anywhere else.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. And my favorite thing that happens at those shows is when, you know, there's interaction, because it's a bar show. At the end of the day, it's not, you know, there's no stage, there's a spotlight, and there's the Bay Club logo behind you, but it's you and there's people talking at the bar, and there's people in the back having conversations. You got to fight through that, and just have to, you know, do your set.
Yeah. So I have one question about Bay Club specifically. As far as headliners, how is there a way you reach out to them and pick it? What is your...
Oh my God, I book it like every 2 weeks, just depending, because I will, and I also love this. I love when micers graduate, like Julie Baez. Julie Baez came to the spot, then a couple years later hosted, and now she's headlining. Yeah. You know, she's grown with Bay Club, right? And so when I know I got like 3 weeks, or I usually book it like 2.5 weeks before, unless I know that an out-of-towner's coming in, then it's already booked. And I'll just, you know, go through my text of people that have hit me up and see and just put it together that way. It's very informal.
Well, the reason I asked that is because we have a lot of like out-of-towners that are either opening or featuring for the headliners at the Improv.
That's why I don't book it so far in advance, because I want the ability to get Brett Ernst's feature
Right.
to stay in town for an extra day. I want the ability to, Jim Brewer has a feature called Joe Sib, who's actually exactly like me. He was a musician. He's a punk guy, lives in LA, and now tours and does comedy. He's going to do Bay Club. So I want that opportunity for people that are in town to be able to stay an extra day. You know, if they do the weekend, Mike Levine hooks me up with people all the time. We had Ed Pepitone. He stayed for an extra day. We had Aaron Berg stayed for an extra day.
Yeah, I met Aaron actually there.
We had Big J Okerson did it once.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fucking, murdered.
Well, I'm glad you said that. So, you know, definitely I will be, to anyone watching the podcast, any comedians that we've met either through Austin or traveling in town, hit us up. Let us know when you're coming into town. Definitely, you know, hit Will up. I'll put you in contact with some
Bay Club Comedy on Instagram. Very easy to find. Bay Club Comedy. And I'm extremely easy to get a hold of.
Because that's really what we want. I mean, we want people. I mean, obviously, when I go out of town, I'd love to get on open mics, but I'd love to get on some book shows as well. And I know there's a lot of comedians at that level that when they come to Miami, they would love to do some open mics all week. But if there's a couple of nice, big, you know, book clubs, book shows like that, it just kind of adds a little star to our scene, you know. So definitely be, you know, here, the clips will come out, so people will hear that it's here, you know.
And you guys are welcome anytime you want, man. It's your room. It's your house.
We'll definitely be there next week for the 8-year anniversary. I mean, that's gonna be
that's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a lot of fun. And one thing that I'll say about Bay Club, and something that it's been a reoccurring theme on our show the last few weeks, is kind of like that elevated level of show. I think you were mentioning that as well earlier. Kind of like shows that are consistently good crowds, good lineups, well put together. You know, they tick all the boxes. Kind of. We've been saying that like producers and people who are starting up new rooms need to look for more opportunities, kind of along that Bay Club avenue, and kind of similar to that. For you, what do you think is the secret? Now you've been doing it for 8 years. What is the secret to having a consistent show?
Having a consistent show, first of all, you need a supportive venue, and they love us. And I'm so happy that there's now other companies that are taking our venue or taking Bay Club and using that venue for a comedy show for their purposes, for their own. So the club's ecstatic about it because the company's paying them to buy out the night. So they are about art and about, you know, and they're also business people. So they see that, you know, we're bringing people to the show. And so you need a supportive venue. If you got a supportive venue, the rest can build itself. Just be consistent about it, and you know, have a good lineup every week. Make sure that you're professional. You start on time. You treat the people with respect. You treat the comics with respect, and you could build it. I mean, it's really. I'm not going to say it's not difficult because it is. But if you've got the right people with you, like I've got the greatest partner in the world. Alex is a monster, man, and Alex draws more people than anybody I've ever met, because he will be walking down the street and see a girl walking a dog. It's like, oh my God, that's a cute dog. Hey, Bay Club Comedy on Monday. Let's go. Bring the dog. And the next thing you know, you've got the dog and the entire family at the show, because that's what Alex does.
Right.
So
I saw Alex one time.
So find an Alex.
Yeah. Amen. Is he available, by the way? Actually, I'll never forget, like the first time I met Alex, we talked for a little bit. I was like, man, that guy's really cool. And then he jumped in a convertible with
Porsche.
7 girls.
Yeah.
And drove away.
Only 7?
Yeah. I'm like, there's not enough seatbelts, guys.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I mean, literally 7 girls in a Porsche as he drove away. I'm like,
The 2-seater.
yeah.
Alex just got a dog. He just got a beautiful Labradoodle.
Nice.
Named Bruno.
My God.
Oh my God. And it's the cutest dog I've ever seen in my life. So if you think he was famous or popular now, wait till he walks down South Beach with this thing. It's going to be...
It's over.
He's walking down
it's gonna
South
be
Beach.
a line down
This
the...
is my dog, Chick Magnet.
And so speaking of you and Alex and that partnership, how did that start, and kind of when did you guys start working together in terms of building shows?
Alex and I met at the Fort Lauderdale Improv at something called, you ready for this? A writer's meeting.
Nice.
They used to run writers' meetings. It would be like on a Thursday at 4 o'clock, and like 30 comics would show up, like new faces, and a comic would get up, would do a set, and then the 30 comics in the room would give them notes.
Nice.
And it was amazing. It was great. And Alex did a set, and I threw some notes at him, and we just became friends, and we started talking. And then when he started putting his shows together, John Wynn was Alex's like partner at first, and was doing like pizza shows with him, and then we moved it to Junior and Hatter, and that's when I kind of stepped in. And Alex is my best friend, so I really don't know. It grew from there.
Yeah.
And so we've just been partners. I guess we're friends. So we just through Bay Club have become even closer and just a bond.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, if anyone hasn't gone out to Bay Club and seen the interaction between the two, it's so great because you guys like yin and yang to each other. You know
He calls me his comedy wife.
Oh,
Nice.
that makes sense. I
Nice.
at least know who the bottom is.
Oh, jeez.
So since you guys have been doing Bay Club and since you've kind of taken over that venue, I feel like Mondays, obviously in that part of town, are kind of feel a little different. And I know Alex lives over there. What has been the response from like the community in terms of like what you offer? Because there really isn't another spot for comedy that happens as consistently as you guys anywhere near.
I'll tell you something funny. I'll tell you something funny that happened last week. I was having lunch on South Beach, and these girls sit down and start talking to him, whatever, and it's like, oh, do you like comedy? And before I could finish, it's like, oh yeah. Oh, by the way, there's a really great show like right down the block. It's called Bay Club Comedy. It's at Lucali's Pizza, and I'm just looking at it and was like, yeah, exactly. So they know. And then there was a show at Faena. There was a Christian Munoz put together a really big show, and Amber Joy Lane was on it, whatever, and as the comics were getting off the stage, the audience, people were telling them, was like, oh, you guys were great. You guys are really funny. You should really do comedy over at that Bay Club area. So it's in the public perception on South Beach and in the area, which is great, which is what we want. And it's a small place, man. So it doesn't really require a lot of promotion, a lot of marketing to get it to be full. So, and I like that. So it's great. They're happy. And we're happy.
One of the things I love about Bay Club is that, like, once it gets filled up, like, you have, like, the overflow. You have people that are walking down the street, and they're like, wait. And then, like, everyone starts peeking in.
And you got to get through the stage to get to the bathroom. So, people are going to be walking in front of you. It's just, it's a bar, man.
It drives a lot of interaction. It's really dope.
It's great.
Is there, as far as 2025, is there any big, either big plans with Bay Club or any big headliners or anything kind of looking forward that you'd like to?
What I mentioned earlier, we might... talking to Alex and talking to Melissa as well, we're talking about taking Bay Club Comedy as an entity out. And, so Bay Club Comedy presents, and then we put together a show, we do it at the Improv or do it somewhere else. It depends, because Alex and I schedules are just really kind of crazy and busy, but we'll see what we do. But for sure, we're thinking about trying something.
That's awesome. And the guarantee when you guys do line something up right here on the comedy calendar, we'll be one of the first ones to give a big shout out, make sure everyone's aware. Dude, comedy in South Florida is blowing up right now. If we didn't have people like you guys who, you guys have time, obviously a little bit of money to invest into this thing and make it something bigger than the sum of its parts. It's you guys, dude, the first time we went out there, it happened exactly what you said. I showed up, I said hello, you threw me up for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, completely undeserved, but did it well enough, developed a relationship, met so many good comedians there. And dude, to 8 more years of Bay Club, man. Like, absolutely.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, as long as they want us, as long as they want to keep us, we'll keep pushing it. So it's an honor to. I mean, Lucali is. If you know what Lucali is, Lucali in New York is one of the most famous pizzerias in Brooklyn. So and it's the same owner. It's Lucali. It's connected to Bay Club. So and Mark is just an absolutely amazing, and Christina, who's been helping us run it for years. So as long as they want us, we're back. Every other Monday.
I love that. Guys, if you haven't been out to Bay Club on a Monday or on one of the Mondays that they are running the comedy, it is an experience, honestly, like no other in South Florida comedy. It's super unique. It's one of a kind, and it's worth the drive out there. No matter what part of town that you're in, if you think, oh man, it's far out there, it's at the beach, trust me, it is worth every penny. And like Art said, the parking is fantastic, the food is fantastic. I mean, you mentioned it's one of the most famous pizzerias in New York, but I think it's probably one of the most famous pizzerias in Miami too, as well, because of just the scale of. I mean, the first time we ever said that we were doing the show, I think we talked about it here on Comedy Calendar, and we went out, and that night there was another comic that was like, "Oh, I heard you guys doing Bay Club." She was like, "You guys gotta try the pizza." Like, you got, like, before she talked about the comedy or the room or you or Alex, she was like, the pizza, like, that's the best part. So I always love going out there because it's a total package experience, and that's kind of what I was saying. Us comics down here in South Florida, when we look at venues, when we look at opportunities to run these rooms, it's about that total package experience: the food, the venue, the experience, the setup itself. Like, the sound system in there is great. You can always hear your DJ that comes through, and DJ
Tillery.
DJ
Man, how did I
Tillery.
forget DJ Tillery?
Me too.
DJ Tillery, bro.
There you go.
For sure. Yeah, and
it creates
he
a
crushes
vibe.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, he literally kills it every time.
And here's a perfect example. I mean, running a business, fine. It doesn't bring in. Maybe it does bring in more people, but the club takes care of Tillery. And it was the club's idea. It was Christina's idea. She just said, "You know what? We're going to help with the vibe. I'm going to get a DJ." And we're like, "Are you sure?" It's like, and no, yeah, we're going to do it. And from the first time, because he's only been doing it for like a year.
Yeah.
From the moment that he came in, it was just magic. It was great. It was amazing.
And having all those pieces in place is what. It's the little things that add up to make it a great room, you know. And down here in South Florida, we need more examples like that. And that's kind of what I was getting at before in terms of the comics that haven't gone out and seen the room, or the comics that haven't been to a Bay club when comedy is being ran. You're doing yourself a disservice, because it's really, even if you're not going up, just watching how the show is ran, watching how things are operated is it's a pleasure to be even as an external piece, a part of that experience, and kind of it's a learning piece for all of us, because like I said, we just need more rooms like Bay Club, like you know.
And there's no better opportunity. I'm telling you, next week, Monday, I'm gonna go down. Any comedians who have expired license plates, don't want to go through the plate readers on the bridge,
Yeah.
or they're worried about their warrants or whatever, I'll drive you down to Bay Club. Hit me up. I'll go down there with you guys. I'm gonna be there already. It's gonna be a fucking party, man. You can't miss this one, you know.
Absolutely.
And any comedians that want to check it out, just hit me up. I'll drive.
100%. Hit up Will, hit up Alex, or Bay Club Comedy on
Bay Club Comedy at on Instagram.
on
Bay Club
Instagram.
Comedy.
Yes, guys. So if you didn't get something out of this episode of Comedy Calendar, man, I don't know what to tell you, guys. I don't know what to tell you. We've been dropping bombs of knowledge this entire episode. Will, thank you so much for coming on. And
phenomenal, man. You guys are great.
Yeah, and next time, if you do get that show going, next time it'll hopefully be you and Alex. Does he work during the day? Is that why?
Alex?
Yeah.
Alex is head of critical care at Palmetto Hospital.
Well, so then
Is that important?
we'll zoom him in, and we'll get him here.
He's actually, want to know the truth? He was going to come in with me today, but he just got his dog. So he had to take his dog to a trainer. So he was driving it in the Porsche with the dog in the front seat.
I'm assuming top
Alex
down.
problems.
I'm assuming top down. Yeah.
Nothing like Alex problems.
God, I had to take my brand new purebred dog to the trainer, not even to the vet, because that would have been like, oh man, you got to take him to get shots. No, I'm taking him to get trained to be the ideal pup.
How to pick up more chicks.
How to pick up more chicks. Yeah, the dog's gonna learn how to speak English. Actually, that's
Well,
what
the dog's doing 5 at the birthday show.
Nice.
Oh, nice. He's gonna do the whole set with the dog in a little bag. I can picture Alex doing something like that. That's what's up. But next time we can try and get you guys. We'll work it out. It doesn't even have to be on a Monday. We'll work it out for you guys where it can be both of you on the show, and we can promote that, you know, the right way, and get Alex's perspective on kind of the whole Bay Club experience. So what you guys are doing out there is second to none. And guys, if you are interested in anything else that happens in South Florida comedy, not just what we've mentioned here today on the show with Will and Art, you can always go to the link in the description of this video that has the South Florida comedy spreadsheet that has every single show that we do out here in South Florida, even if we didn't mention it today, because there is so much going on a night-to-night basis, guys. But Art, do you have anything else you would like to add before we sign off?
No, let's go Heat tonight. We're playing the Wizards, so let's kill them.
Absolutely, guys. Let's go Heat. And also shout out to the Lady Canes. They just unveiled some new uniforms.
That's right.
That are very, very nice. So the basketball season is in full swing, guys. We have officially moved on from football. We've officially retired the football season for 2025, at least the beginning of it. And now we're into that full swing of basketball, and the Lady Canes are really keeping us locked in. They're really keeping us locked in. Go shout out to the Cavender twins. I know those are Art's favorite players, right? Correct?
They're not on the team anymore, are they?
They came back. They came back for a senior year. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, one of them is dating the Carson Beck, who's the new quarterback for the University of Miami, who transferred from Georgia.
Oh, just had all the cars.
He just had all his cars stolen, but we don't like. Art doesn't like talking about that. It makes him feel a certain type of way.
I don't know what happened to those cars, by the way.
Anyway, guys, this has been another fantastic episode of Comedy Calendar. Follow Will, Bay Club, Alex, everybody. You can follow Art and myself on social media, and also follow Community News, guys. We are coming to you live from the Black Studio here, but as we do every single week, guys, signing off here at the Comedy Calendar. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next week, guys, stay laughing.